butcher of Damascus, gasser of children, baby killer of Syria, tool of Moscow, cruel despot, monster. These are all names the Western media and politicians routinely heap on Syria's president, Bashar al-Assad. He has now become the top Mideast villain, the man we love to hate. As a veteran Mideast watcher, I find all this hard to swallow. Compared to other brutal Mideast leaders, Assad is pretty weak tea. The US-British propaganda effort to paint Assad in blackest colors is having a difficult time. Mideast leaders who toe the US line and make nice to Israel are invariably called statesmen, or president, by the American government and its increasingly tame media. There's good old President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in Egypt, the military dictator who crushed that nation's only democracy and imposed an iron-fisted rule, but we will never hear from the US media of Egypt's political murders, disappearances, secret prisons and torture, or that Egypt has been one of the world's most draconian police states since the era of Anwar Sadat and successor Hosni Mubarak. American Raj Liberati. Eric Margolis best price $1.80 by new $49.80 as of 5:40 Eastern Daylight Saving Time. Details: Saudi rulers are reverently treated by the US media and government in spite of leading the world in executions. Last year, 44 people were publicly beheaded. In some years, around 150 people have been beheaded in Saudi Arabia, often a quarter of them Pakistani guest workers, having been arrested by the Saudi religious police. I can tell you that the kingdom is a police state with sand dunes and camels. Saudi vassal states Bahrain and the Emirates are better, but not much. Morocco, a key U.S. ally, is notorious for its ghastly prisons and brutal torture. Iraq and Afghanistan, now under U.S. control, are even worse. Israel, the largest recipient of U.S. aid, holds close to 7,000 Palestinian political prisoners, among them 400 children, and is gunning down Palestinian demonstrators on the Gaza border. Syria has always been a repressive police state. I recall watching spies being hanged in front of my hotel. Its various police forces are notorious for brutality and torture. In fact, until recently, the U.S. actually sent captive suspects to Syria to be tortured and jailed. That was before Washington made the decision to overthrow Syria's legitimate government regime in D.C. talk as the first step in attacking Iran. But Damascus was no worse a human rights abuser than Cairo, Amman, Rabat and Riyadh, all U.S. vassals. While looking at the current Western hate campaigns against Syria and Iran, keep in mind the history of the modern Mideast. We are again seeing the 1914-era lies from London about Belgian babies speared on German bayonets. War at the top of the Eric Margolis best price $2.60 by new $24.87 as of 10:20 Eastern Daylight Saving Time. Details: any Arab or Iranian leader who sought an independent policy or refused the tutelage of London and then Washington was delegitimized, excoriated, and demonized. Remember the Iranian leader Mohammad I. Mossadegh overthrown in a CIA coup, the renowned Egyptian leader, Gamal Abdel Nasser, whom the British branded Hitler on the Nile, or the late murdered Libyan Muammar Gaddafi, called Mad Dog of the Mideast by President Ronald Reagan, Imam Khomeini of Iran and President Ahmadinejad, both favored targets of Western media invective, and both compared to the much overused Hitler, Saddam Hussein, the butcher of Baghdad, and that modern Dr. Fu Manchu, Osama bin Laden, the all-time favorite Muslim arch-villain. Of course, there's nothing new in this nasty name-calling. During the Victorian era, Britain's press demonized arch-villains like the Mad Mullah, the Mahdi, the Fakir of IPI, and Nana Sahib of the 1857 Indian uprising against British imperial rule. Bashar al-Assad was a mild-mannered ophthalmologist living in London with his British-born wife. When his rash elder brother Basil was killed in a car crash, Bashar was compelled to return to Syria and become the nominal political leader after the death of his very tough, ruthless father, Hafez al-Assad. Bashar's main role was mediating between powerful factions in Damascus and trying to modernize his nation. In 2011, the US, Britain, Israel and Saudi Arabia ignited an uprising in Syria using often fanatical jihadists. The shy, retiring Bashar was forced to become war leader in a bloody civil conflict as his nation disintegrated. President Trump, whose B-52 bombers are ravaging the Mideast, Afghanistan, Somalia and Yemen, calls al-Assad monster. Some of his relatives are indeed ruthless, but very many Syrians think of Assad as their nation's only hope of returning to normalcy. The best of Eric Margolis.